I just realized I was muted all that time. For giggles, I have added Instagram to a location I'm streaming to. I don't know who watches Instagram videos, live streams for gaming, but just thought I'd try it for fun, see what happens. Oh my goodness, Mr. Akash has joined. How you doing, Akash? You can use the chat. Curious if my Instagram, no, it doesn't look like the Instagram messages show up in OBS, so I have to have two windows open. So streaming to Instagram is weird. You have to like set it up uniquely every single time, which is very annoying. And apparently the chats are not piped through to the central interface Restream, so I have to actually check explicitly. Also, I don't know if can one see the entire stream. It looks like it's a vertical, and Instagram looks like it's a vertical display. I don't even know where you find live feeds on Instagram. It's not on my main page. Anyway, I guess I'll just work on stuff. Since that is my purpose here. So, I was just checking the new game window. It's taking its sweet time to start. Now I can scroll because we have too many game types. Oh man, we got Sean as well. Man, blast from the past, joining my Instagram. How you doing, Sean? It's been, I don't know, a decade since we've talked. Sound. I am doing well. How are you doing? For those on other on other streaming platforms, you're not going to see the Instagram messages, so you're just going to have to infer from what I'm saying. Yeah, it's been, man. It may have very well be over 10 years since we've talked. I don't even want to speculate and actually count. It'll make me feel older. What? And 2 kids? I think I heard news through the grapevine that you got married. I think I heard that through Brandon. But 2 kids. Oh my goodness. My wife is working on number 1 right now. Out of curiosity, can you see the entire width of my screen, or are you only seeing a vertical slice? Indeed, we should. Though it will have to be online because I'm not stateside anymore. Greetings from Tokyo, Japan. So I'm guessing you can only see. Delay. Yeah, you can see through to the L, I guess, in Fleet's Tycoon. Am I right? That's lame. Clearly designed for vertical. I guess I won't be streaming to Instagram in the future. I do stream to primarily YouTube and Twitch. I just thought today I would try Instagram for giggles. You're missing a chunk of the game. I may not keep the. I'll keep the Instagram stream running long enough for those who are on it. I'll probably shut it down after everyone leaves, because it's silly to only see halfway through the game. In fact, sure, we can do a virtual call. here to test the game before putting out an update. Surprised by that. That's not supposed to happen. Two buildings are overlapping. So this is the first time also playing Unleashed Plus, which is just the main game mode, but harder and one period longer. Random shipwrecks. Definitely dying as I look at the profiler. Oh, I guess you have double the music. Oh shit. So you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm checking the Unity profiler and trying to figure out why it is. Frame rate is, well, it's paused right now and it's sitting at 30. Now I do actually set when I'm play testing the game, I set the frame rate to be lower just within Unity. Because Unity is weird, it really spins its wheels. It will, it seems like it's trying to push itself to maximum frame rate always, but then it ends up just kind of inefficiently doing that, and so you end up with a weirdly like lower frame rate than if you just cap it. So like, now it does appear that they added an option in Unity, which I can't show right now, streaming this game, but you can limit how many cycles Unity Editor takes. It's like super complicated, like I don't know why it's so difficult. Unity is the user interface, I guess, is not very efficient, and it will do extraneous extra cycles unnecessarily, which then you can cap the frame rate of the user interface, sort of, which then helps with the sluggishness of the header, but doesn't change the game itself. The game itself gets, if you turn on VSync, and low resolution aspect ratio or something. This is thank you very much. Alright, I'm going to end the live stream on Instagram because it's cut off, so it's useless. Plus, it was difficult to set up anyway. Editor itself is eating 1/3 of the frame rate, which, yes, that unfortunately happens for the Unity editor itself. Just running the games through Unity is slower, which is fine. That's part of the reason why I reduce the frame rate when I'm in editor, but it's set to 48 in. Frame rate's set to 48 in game, so I would expect to be hitting something close to that, but right now I'm hitting 35-ish when the game's paused. The game's paused right now because I only have one ship and I'm not doing anything. But when the ship starts moving, it loses like 10 FPS. So that's very weird. Seems like rendering is potentially taking a substantial amount of time. I wonder if it's my dithering effect. So I added a dithering effect for giggles. That's why you see the alternating pixels here with different colors. Kind of hard to see, especially when I have used the old school pixelation. So it's probably a useless effect because I'm not making it very strong. Let's see it better. I really don't think I should do this. Anyway, I can like reduce the colors. Let's see, to 6 colors. It's very apparent. I really doubt that should be the issue. See, I can make it much more apparent. Super tethered. Weirdly, it seems to be making oh, actually might be because I'm not running full resolution. No, it definitely seems to be like missing pixels. Like, because there are black pixels in there where there's should be no black. Alright, well, you know what? We're gonna abort the dithering for now. It's not important. It's barely noticeable, and that's, you know, it's not going to fix the frame rate, because that by itself is the issue. I've had 3 cameras for a long time. Well, it's very strange that things rendering 3 cameras. You know what? It could potentially be just the amount of load I'm putting on my graphics card right now. It could be as simple as that. For the rendering, anyway. I'll have to test the frame rate when I'm not streaming. But it still implies that the scripts are actually taking a substantial amount of time. Interesting. So, I know you can't see the graphs I'm looking at, but I will describe, just talk out loud. So I'm looking at the render loop. The render loop is showing the same color blue as scripts. So it makes me wonder if rendering is calling a script indirectly. It is. Well, it's calling a bunch of configuration stuff. It says that the post effects are taking up, just running a post effect is taking like 3 milliseconds. Yeah, just having these other cameras exist is taking like 2 to almost 4 milliseconds each. The main camera takes 4 seconds to just render single camera internal. That's what Unity calls it. And then it spends 3.5 milliseconds on 2D UI and 2.3 milliseconds on 3D UI. I mean, they're all bare bones cameras. Surprised that the field of view doesn't match here. Oh yeah, that's what happens. I forgot. Why is there post-processing on? Oh yeah, I do. I have some post-processing on. The 2D UI. I totally forgot about that. I'm surprised they're turning off the post-processing on the UI is so change the brightness. Like that's vignette, so yes, that would brighten it up a bit. That's Panini protection, which that would just contort it a bit. Doesn't explain why when I turn off post-processing it would make it crazy bright. Tone mapping. I'm surprised by the warning, yet it still seems to modify things as it's working. Much 3D UI is there? I don't think there's much. I don't recall what is using 3D UI. I think that's 3D UI technically, but this only exists so it's drawn on top. Do I need this? Certainly added it because I need it at some point, but do I still need it? Oh, it's for the flags. That's what it is. It's for that. Yeah, sweet. Oh. Yeah, it is for the flags. Oh, the flags are being double rendered. What? Oh man, the frame rate is collapsing. There has to be more going on. I think it's going on. I do really need to test this outside of streaming. I have way too much loading up my graphics card. I have NVIDIA Broadcast to filter out background noise. I have OBS running, of course, to record the screen. I have Zootbot, my cute robotic self, going. It'd be nice if it said, because it doesn't show it. I mean, it has to be. The only difference is the output texture. It just doesn't show you, so you can't. It's desynced, but it doesn't tell you how or why. You can't verify it. That will alleviate the double rendering. Need to edit that. I'm not playing. It's not actually urgent, it's super easy, and I don't want to forget. Very weird. I don't know what the... I mean, it does look like things get crunchier when the game is playing. Like the performance is worse. There's very little going on. I think the game is not very complicated. Am I accidentally rendering? Double rendering? I'm pretty sure that needs to be automated. Call it. So it looks like I don't need to have update mode set to use pipeline, which I'm pretty sure is set to every frame, because that would be default. So the camera scaler is calling the render. Not the best way to use my time to try to debug this when I'm streaming my video card. So with that change, the flags, yes. Then if I disable this, no, that's fine. Well, that makes sense. The 2D UI actually. The 3D is rendered in the 2D canvas. That's what this is. So this is the canvas, and inside the canvas, there's actually an image showing 3D view. My question is, this is technically quote-unquote child. It's an overlay, right? disable this, I think. Yeah, that. So when you call render on this, it will render its stack, which makes sense. So I only need to really set that to be a scripting. I'm curious. Oh, interesting. So I set that to be a scripting, it will also. I mean, it's taking 3 milliseconds to run essentially the entire game, so I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just I'm overtaxing. I think I'm overtaxing my GPU and it's skewing everything. Like even like this, I know this slows down. Having my translations editor, I don't know if having the window visible will slow it down, but like definitely having this open and visible slows it down. It's super weird. That changed. This only needs to render everything but that. Curious what would happen if I just not have tone mapping. So this is where I set the frame rate just in Unity Editor. I'm going to set it to 30. I don't think there's anything for me to actually debug here, like especially with all this streaming stuff going on. I'm gonna have to do this off stream, I think. Looking at the actual scripts, there doesn't seem to be anything slowing it down. All the slowdown seems to be coming from rendering. Oh, I gotta pester my wife for a moment. Be right back. All right, I am back. I did switch that, right? Yes, I did. All right. Unfortunately, it's a super minor optimization. Man, it just takes. It just takes so long for it to just initiate the render. I'm worried that it's actually rendering the game twice or something per frame. I mean, so every frame it tries to render the main camera, 3D UI, and 2D UI camera. So that's already 3 cameras it has to render, and each camera rendering it all takes a lot of time. So you best want to avoid having many cameras. That being said, almost any complicated game has multiple cameras to represent different layers of things, because that's the best way to do layers. There's no other concept of layers besides essentially using a camera, multiple cameras. So like this is the main 3D view, and it renders actually to a rendered texture, essentially a texture on the side, and that is so that I can reduce the resolution. The 3D UI camera, so I can control 3D things to draw on top of other 3D things to act essentially as user interface. The 2D UI camera is the user interface, and it simply only draws the canvas, which is the 2D user interface. Now I might be able to, so the canvas, canvas can potentially render itself, but almost every game I've ever worked on can't use the screen space overlay. If you have anything that's using, if you ever want to overlay a 3D, you want to transpose a 2D user interface to make it appear it's on top of something in 3D space, using screen space overlay is supposed to be super easy, but it seems like if you have any other modifications of your camera setup, it won't work. So like I have lots of manipulation of the camera setup. I have the pixel scaling, for example. So I can't use screen space overlay, which is the simple canvas. Also, you can't control anything about its rendering. So like if you wanted to add post effects to your camera, sorry, I can't speak, to your canvas, then you can't use screen space overlay because you have no way of capturing the canvas and because the only way you can apply post effects to a canvas, to my knowledge, is to use a camera on it. Screen space camera is essentially putting your user interface in the 3D world, but it is only rendered by a camera dedicated to the canvas. Yeah, it's complicated. And hard for me to summarize, apparently. This is actually very similar. Camera setup to no reloading. Apparently I should have been editing all these things on the main camera prefab. Whoops. Out of curiosity, is main menu also very low frame rate? So it kind of gives you an idea of the weirdness of rendering. So the main menu is very simple to my knowledge. It is, oh, it still has these little cameras. But nothing is, there's nothing to be really rendered. So ironically, I could disable all this stuff. So there actually is a 3D scene behind this pretty pixel art picture that I don't use anymore. It's disabled here. So that's why this uses the same camera and everything. But yeah, so it shows that even if you have no game simulation running, you have no frame rate limiting. The frame rate limiter hasn't been activated yet, with literally nothing going on, essentially, of anything of note. It is still rendering at 45-ish FPS. And even if I started disabling cameras, I don't think it gets much better. Well, it does. I'm a filthy liar. Turning off that 2D UI camera helped a lot. So before they had this update mode, wait, didn't I change that? I swear I changed that. Oh, interesting, because it doesn't view it as a change. Different from the prefab. There's a minor bug on Unity's part. It's not detecting that being a change, which means that none of these. I wonder if universal. I wish I knew what this did exactly. So I was just reading documentation there. Apparently it's necessary on any kind of non-built-in pipeline, render pipeline. Universal additional camera data. I really don't want to muck with the whole camera setup. It's delicate, shall we say, and tedious. It's not really what I wanted to be focusing on. Sure seems like it's almost, it's still nothing going on. Since this is manually rendered, I actually don't know. I don't think I need to have this enabled. So in nowhere loading, which is actually run on built-in render pipeline, the way I disable cameras from rendering automatically is literally disabling it. But here they've added the ability to update mode via scripting. I just wonder if I should just. It seems to help a lot. I gotta play the game in order to. Why is this upset? Oh, that's annoying. Well, so that is upset because I disabled the main camera, and I had a similar issue with nowhere loading, where I had to replace all references to main camera. So Unity has one that's built in, but it does a linear search every time you use it, which is obviously terrible. And then I have one that at least caches it. It's good for just I quickly want to get a cached version of the main camera. But it also, at the end of the day, is relying on one linear search to find the main camera, which I just disabled the main camera there. settings are still on. So my question is, now that I'm actually in the game, if I disable main camera, it still renders, but do I get a boost in frame rate? So I'm at around 30 average. Interesting, I lose my setting, I lose the data, but it doesn't improve frame rate. I think I need to have this disabled. Makes me worried that it is double rendering, even though the frame rate's being capped. So it's disabled cap temporarily. So turning on VSync in editor tends to actually make the whole game perform worse than just using this code cap. So the VSync is supposed to, I mean, primarily VSync is to remove any partial draws of the screen where you essentially you see two halves of two different frames. But in editor, VSync tends to just make the game eat CPU needlessly, because it's being told to wait for the next frame, and it like seemingly pauses some thread. It's like there's nothing going on and it's already eating. Main menu, nothing going on. It's sitting, this is without any frame limit caps. It's sitting at averaging 50-ish. And then if I disable main camera, it does substantially help. I think this update mode is not doing what I think it's doing. Yes, it's gonna keep freaking out because I disabled main camera. Error pause. Ignore. This is not critical at the moment. You should always have error pause on, but in this case I know why it's upset. So apparently it is too upset to deal with that. Alright. See, exactly why you should always have error pause on. I've worked with many engineer on many a game where they turned off error pause and they have errors going on all the time and they don't figure them out. It's very dangerous because when you have an error, as I've probably said 1,000 times now on stream, if you have an error and you don't have error pause on, that whole line of execution just dies. And it's, unless you've sat there and figured out what's being skipped, you are potentially missing out on lots of code that you expect to be running when actually not. Alright, so we're going to go run the game here without frame rate limiting. I'm going to disable main camera. So it's sitting at, the game is paused currently. It's doing very little besides these tutorial arrows, and it's sitting at hovering somewhere in the upper 20s. Disable that. Wow, that is substantial. And the game is still rendering fine. It is totally double rendering. Oh, I'm a filthy liar. It is not rendering. Oh, well, there's errors. Well, that's part of the game. I think I have to fix some of these errors in order for it to properly test this. If I disable... That was my dummy texture for dithering. So this is, I essentially disabled rendering of the main camera, which is why you're getting the default texture. And then if I set this to use pipeline, does it render? No. Well, yeah, it wouldn't. It might be rendering, but we don't see it because it's. Difficult to test. Well, here's one way I can tell. So we know if I turn this off, the frame rate greatly improves. If I set this to via scripting, there's nothing telling it to render. This tells me that this is not doing anything I think this is doing. This is not about, this is not triggering the rendering. I don't think this matters. This tells me that the issue is that I think I'm double rendering. So when I look at the debugger or the profiler, it seems to indicate that main camera is only called once. It might be being called twice from different places. Well, let's see. I'm essentially using the profiler to try to figure out when does main camera render. So I have it enabled. I know you're not seeing anything here. uh, but it is rendering, it's just you can't see it right now. Said. Yeah, it would be rendered underneath the canvas. So like, if I hit that, surprise it's yellow. I am surprised it's showing yellow there. Like right now, it should be essentially rendering the normal way. There's no render texture. I'm surprised I'm not seeing anything. Even if I hide the canvas right now, I'm not seeing anything. What is the yellow coming from? I really don't know. As far as my fan is going crazy right now. So like this seems to, yeah, this is showing that there's nothing there. Which makes me think that the main camera is not clearing, or not drying, or both. So usually you see yellow when it's like a render texture that's been tossed, but it's supposed to be rendering to the main camera now. That is the camera scaler telling it to render. It's very weird. this is not. So this is only being triggered on starting to render, I think. That used to be on pre-render on the built-in render pipeline. I've had so many different variations of this thing. That might be why we're seeing yellow there. Not that it's important for testing whether or not. So I think main camera scaler is not rendering, not telling the main camera to render. Interesting. It is telling. Yeah, I think I'm misremembering. So in no reloading, I manually call render, and I think this is a remnant of that. But because with no reloading is running on the built-in pipeline, Fleet Tycoon is running on the universal render pipeline, they have a whole new way of hooking into whether or not your game is starting a frame, starting to render. So this is the event for checking if the game is about to render a camera. This is how it's done, built-in pipeline. I still remember I would call .render, and I'm not calling. This is not called anywhere. Is there somewhere else where it's? This is only called when opening. When the main camera is turned on first time, just so you don't get flash banged. This is the only reference there, and then there's the Zoop Unity stuff, so that's just specific situations. I'm starting to think it's just the sheer number of objects I'm rendering, potentially rendering, because I have a whole bunch of trees and such. So in other words, I think there's nothing really to change with the main camera stuff. Which means this last hour plus has been just a boondoggle. Sure, made some minor improvements, but not a major fix to anything. So I think it's the... I have a whole bunch of trees and stuff. Now they're instanced. So technically they shouldn't be a major problem. Technically. Well, know what the easiest way to test this theory before I spent any time actually coding anything. I mean, the fact that the main menu is running at 45 frames per second is super weird by itself. That is indicative of something weird's going on. The main menu shouldn't be running at 45 frames per second. Like, there's nothing going on. If I profile this for a second, what does it say is the slowest thing? It's rendering. I was a bit more familiar with the profiler data for the built-in pipeline. I think there is actually a function call you can see where it's very distinctly like it's like gathering game objects or something like that. So it's very obvious if it's struggling to render a bunch of game objects. With the universal pipeline here, it really doesn't seem to say much. It does seem to tell me about like which effects are being rendered, but you know, if I was just gonna guess from the graph, it's taking. Well, actually, I don't need to guess from the graph. I have the data here. 20% of my frame is just spent rendering main camera, which does nothing in this scene. Like the main camera is rendering a skybox. It's not the number of game objects. I think it's just Unity. Oh my, yeah, if I look at the graph including others, meaning including the editor is taking up 30%. I think I need to just ignore this, unfortunately. It drives me nuts, but it drives me nuts that the game is like really low latency, really low frame rate in editor. Like I've come to expect it to be low frame rate, but I don't like that I don't know exactly why. I don't know the exact cause. So I'm just going to cap the frame rate and try to test the other stuff. We'll see if I have other thoughts on what could be going on as we go on. But it is very weird that the cameras are just so heavy. But Unity Editor is much heavier. Their Unity Editor is taking up 30%, rendering the cameras. I guess it's almost the same if you add up all the different cameras. Bug. But it's sluggish enough in editor that it's even annoying to me. Like, I am very not picky about frame rate typically compared to the average gamer. You lock the 30, it's still. I'm just gonna try to ignore it and focus on the gameplay. It's spun around several times. Need to fix how long it takes to load. Screen. It's very. I've ignored it thus far. A big change is I apparently pasted the Chinese in the right place. So I separated cartography. Cartography is now separate from discovery, so or exploration now. They used the same stats last time on the stream. Doesn't say how much. I want that is the description here. Instead of here. Because I want it to show the stat. +1 cartography. So I switched the bullet points, those look nice. Thanks, Tim, for the suggestion. I should play with this at some point. It's a very interesting idea. It increases how much your wiggling helps, and it does it per ship. But makes your ship's default work rate when they're not assisted slower. Slosh? Consider high tier. Mistake. Gold. Wait. That is wired up wrong. I've seen that happen now more, and I'm sure it's happening here too. If I pick up this, yeah, this is connected to this is connected to this. It's because these were, so it created the skill tree, and then it realized that these weren't placed through the natural generation of the upgrade tree. So then it added them afterwards, like, oh no, we're missing this. Let's add this, attach this to an existing cluster. But I told it, I thought I coded it to detach from neighbors and reattach, which means they should have reattached to the closest. Unfortunately very difficult to test. because it essentially relies on the tree not being correctly generated initially, and then upon it will realize it wasn't generated right, and then tries to fix itself. So revise connections to island. So it keeps a list of all the neighbors. It goes through the existing connections to this subset, disposes them, which means there should be no subsets, and then it goes through those neighbors and tries to connect to them. Point. Now I gotta scroll, have it start scroll to the top. That's not the right, not the right place to be typing. That there is a discoverable site in town. is that possible? So clearly the upgrade tree didn't, well actually the upgrade tree, I think it's generated when I, when I get that. Yeah, that's, too many icons are black and white. I can't even click on the cell appropriately. Oh, there's also no fish to be sold there. Also, this, man, I'm running into a lot of annoying issues right now. The AI ship is failing to do its job. Oh, well, there's also air pauses off, which I was missing a bunch of errors. I'm presuming this is a corn farmer because they the corn ships are always troublemakers. Oh no, it's cartography. Interesting. That's good actually. I have not seen this tested yet. And actually makes sense. I think there's a lapse of logic there. as I suspected. So it's really just an issue of I should make this smart enough to use targets. I switched over to this generic target structure for this exact reason, and I didn't apparently finish the thought process. Then it will try to pass it that. Otherwise, it's just going to use target that position. Fix any resulting errors of that change. Okay, so I also need to figure out why discovery points are being put on top of towns. For that reason, maybe a lengthy reason, well, a lengthy fix. So essentially, map generation is a complex process that was, I don't know, lazily put together. It is an amazing combination of lazy and try hard, or something. I don't know how to describe it. You know, when you start, you always try to make it as like simple, bare bones as possible. You know, you don't try to over-architect it, and then you also, you know, you just don't want to invest more time than you need, especially for a game that's supposed to be as small as this. Only adding complexity when you need it. I think discovery points are considered beach prefabs. Surprisingly, not. They're their own thing. I forgot.
Yes, now I remember.
Which then makes even less sense why there's overlap. Oh, actually, it does make sense why there's overlap. Because discovery points are unique in that they're placed and then they choose which discovery point they're going to be, and they're different sizes, and by default all of them are disabled. That's it. Where is... Yes, I know you're in here somewhere. Just scrolling to the wrong place. Yes. Unfinished generate. So this will check the bounding boxes, but in this case there's essentially no bounding box. So of course they'd place on top of each other. Well, the lazy way to do this would be just to include inactive. Docs don't have... Well, yeah, that should work. But, okay, so the related issue that's on linear is the fact that buildings are spawning and touching each other, which they shouldn't be able to do that. Just out of curiosity, what's in here? That I typically only use colliders. I almost never use the mesh renderers themselves. In this situation, it actually kind of makes more sense because I don't want them to visually overlap. Though the colliders should be bigger than the meshes. Layer masks should all be default. technically that is overlapping that even. Oh, the dock is way out there. I think there are many unintended consequences of me changing that. It's funny. Phi Alley is located on a little island. Dock doesn't accept anything. Oh, because there's nothing. But so the dock can't get close enough. The dock is being pushed away because it's considered too close. Does the dock still have it? I got rid of that trigger thing. So there actually used to be a concept of docking your ship that was never used. Like, I'd coded it. Oh, that's the buy arrow back there. Because I ended up never using the docking code because it was it would be so tedious for a player. I wrote it and then realized maybe not a good idea. My question is, why do you keep collapsing? You know, that makes it very difficult, Unity. I want to look at why are you collapsing it? Unity is being a jerk. All the docking rings still exist. Yes, that's it. They do have a collider on them. Okay. So yeah, they used to have a docking ring, which, yeah, in order to upgrade your ship, you have to dock your ship. Which I never used. It'd be interesting if you had, like, an upgrade where if your ship is docked, then you get cheaper upgrades or something. That would be fun. I'll add it as an idea. But that is something to be added later. It's just a cool idea. By the way, is linear actually switching? I think it is. Yes, it is. So that should fix the docks being spaced too far away. I keep forgetting to fix that. Vertical page size, that's, oh, interesting. This is clearly not scroll, yeah, it's UI elements. It's called like scroll rect. I always forget the name of that. I may have to have this called one frame later. I recall there being issues there. Yeah, I know. It's trying to merge those changes in. All right. Okay, buildings are not overlapped. I do want to make so treasure chests and such are hidden innately. Generation of the skill tree is the broken nodes issue, blah blah blah, that stuff. Earn, I think, 500 gold or something for me to get promoted to captain. So here's 100 gold, so I can upgrade my ship and see. So that breakpoint did not get set off. Clearly, that had the issue. This is just replacing, so I don't think that would be an issue. Shouldn't be messing with the connections. It has to be this situation. But why didn't the breakpoints get triggered? Hi, puppy. Hi. Did Mama get up finally? Yep, I have to trigger the scroll to top 1 frame later. Hi, cutie pie. Are you cutie pie, Wanda? Just looking for a way to get a quick gold treasure chest. Probably the quickest. Or a shipwreck. Okay, well the museum's not overlapping with things anymore. Let's waver. That's treasure chest. And yet again. That is very confusing. Well, this breakpoint didn't apparently get triggered. Oh, well, that's why. If it fails, it... Seems to be some errors in my logic here. I think I changed how this works. And I apparently did a really crappy job. If it successfully adds it, then it should break out of the tries. Oh, well, I guess that would have caught it. No, one of is in the wrong place. Hi, Westlin. How you doing? right. Let's fix that while I'm here. Nice for you to join, Leslin. It's always fun to try to explain my nonsensical logic. It keeps me focused, honestly. And it's always nice to say hello to friends. Especially when I'm working on tedious stuff, it's nice to be on stream and feel like someone's watching. I feel confident enough I don't need to keep this breakpoint. How are things going for you? How are you enjoying Europe? Change my mind on what I was doing here. That sounds like fun on both counts. Yes, it is holiday time. We are not able to visit the United States because Hanyu is too pregnant to travel. What did you see or do in Malta for a week? Interesting. That should have totally scrolled to the top. I always have issues with scrolling. It's like you can't control the scroll very well. Thank you. Yes, it is. Still surprising to me. Yes. Yeah, we chose the most awkward time to do it, I suppose, in a way, simply because of all this international travel. But we'll make it work. maybe Hanyu and I will have a chance in the coming years to go to Malta and check out the architecture, history, and such. So Hanyu and I are very likely moving to Netherlands. I don't know, it's here about a half year-ish. That's where the winds seem to be taking us, which means easy access to Europe, and so we will be able to easily hop a train and go explore all over Europe. Also, be closer to you. Yes, Netherlands has a very comparatively easy entrepreneur visa. Why aren't you scrolling? Come on, I told you to scroll so many different ways. Yes, I have heard. Especially like Amsterdam and such, which is like the heart of Netherlands. They're having huge housing shortage, and so prices are high. So we don't. Hanyu is most interested in Amsterdam. I'm willing to essentially go anywhere in Netherlands. The size of the various cities in the Netherlands don't seem to be very different. None of them are very city-like. They're all very tame compared to like Tokyo, where we are now, or even Chicago. So Hanyu seems particularly drawn to Amsterdam, but she's never been either. I have, but it was a long time ago. It's a very beautiful city, though. But their smaller towns don't, at least Googling and such, don't seem to be that aesthetically different or anything. Like, the population is smaller, but just because of how spread out their cities seem to be, it just, I'm not sure if you would even feel the difference. Hanyu and I definitely do prefer the living in a city and urban and walking to places, trains. So, but Netherlands is all about biking. Like, they have decent public transit, but biking is definitely their primary mode of transportation, which I like. I miss my bike I had in the States before it got stolen 3 times. So I'm kind of excited about biking. Let's see here. So why in the world is this not working? I think it's because this is... I think it's because it's disabled at this moment, maybe, or something. Well, you can come visit us once we move in. Should be very easy. I think you could take the train there, though. Obviously, take you a while coming from the UK. You have to go through the tunnel to, I guess, Paris, and then you'd have to take the train. And flights through Europe are pretty cheap. Hello, new person, by the way. The scroll bar is just gonna... It just doesn't want to cooperate now, does it? So I'm trying two different ways of scrolling to the top. This is just... I wonder. So that should scroll to the top, but apparently not doing it. And then I directly access the scroll bar and tell it to scroll to the top. I think 0 is the top. Like, I know with the scrolling you have to delay the scroll. I'm gonna have to hop off stream in about 30 minutes, by the way. Make some lunch for my wifey. Let's see here. Going to simulate adding a bazillion buttons. It's a hilarious, janky way of doing this. Oh, well, interesting. It is the opposite of what I expected. 1 is the top and 0 is the bottom. Why is that? That's confusing. That is the opposite of how Windows works. Well, I guess it makes some sense because 0, 0 is the bottom left corner frequently in game engines. I thought it was through the max. Or am I just misremembering it's always between 0 and 1? It's number of steps. Size. Really making sure it happens more than one frame later. This is, I'm calling call this in the future from the scheduler because it's not attached to this, to the new game window itself. Just in case the new game window is technically inactive while this is called. I'm pretty sure it is active when this gets called, but I'm very paranoid now about why this is not working. So I'm just being like super defensive here. And it's like, okay, don't call it on the window, call it on a global thing. Call scroll top and just over frame. But I shouldn't have to do all this weirdness at all. And I'm double telling it to scroll to the bottom unnecessarily. One would probably override the other. So there's a lot of stupidity going on there, just trying to get it to work, and then I'll narrow it down and clean it up. So Westland, has your job changed at all? I know that you essentially end up in the same type of position when you moved. Have you gotten promoted or anything? Well, it scrolled up a little, actually. What the heck? What the heck is that? I don't want to spend like 15 minutes fixing a freaking scroll bar. Jesus. Why do you hate me so much? Similar but different client base. So yes, I imagine you're targeting European companies instead. So it should have set it to... Oh, size is not what I expected that to be. Well, that's silly. I think it's always 0 to 1. I'm just stupid. I'm thinking of sliders. Sliders have, you set the range. I bet apparently scroll bars are always 0 to 1. Aha, it did it, finally. Okay, so now next time I can edit it down. I'm guessing that I don't need this, and this is good enough. I'm wondering if, yeah, I need to figure out what the timing issue was, or if this doesn't work as I expect, or what. Now we're gonna go test it. Make money real fast and find a treasure chest. has the potential of jank. No, it seems to be lined up. See, the line's not going all the way through. Before, this would have been green all the way through here because it's actually connected this to this. But it seems to have done it correctly. It's now connected to this. In fact, it works. Okay. Hooray! Low speed, those should be rare, not normal rarity. Oh, I'm cheating. I'm cheating to speed up the game. So there is an upgrade that does the same thing though. So if you hit spacebar, it will change the game to 3x speed, I think. But there is an upgrade on the skipper tree to do the same thing. So players can do it as well. I'm a filthy cheater and I can do it from the beginning. So low speed will drag. Alright, so this is going to be a fishing ship, so I need to pick up cargo and this is a new upgrade. This is confusing. +1 cartography. That should be a percentage. So, yes, they are. So that bug I was just fixing with the incorrect connections there is because of the random skill tree generator. So it's very much like Path of Exile if you never ever played that. With my own minor twist. So the upgrades are categorized and then they are placed roughly in their category. So it looks like there is a chance that fishing is more over here because there's a bunch of fishing upgrades. The exploration might be over here because there's some exploration or cartography upgrades over here actually. Cartography might be over here. So you kind of get a feeling of the similar upgrades are grouped together. Now at the start of each tree, so this is the beginning, you have just these very small one node clusters, but once you get out of the starter area, you'll see it's very dim, but there are bigger clusters with a bunch of similar upgrades. So since I'm going fishing, and it kind of looks like fishing stuff's over here, I'm going to go that way. So these little nodes barely give you anything, but they are also super cheap. So you kind of just explore the tree. These big upgrade nodes are usually something very unique, special. So like this one is giving you bonus work rate, and it screws around with your ship's fatigue. This one is nice and simple. So you get a bonus move speed if you are moving to sell, but you also get it consumes 1 momentum per sale for a 2% sale price per momentum. So momentum is just ship resource. It's a non-physical resource. And so essentially you want to pair this with something that gives you momentum, and then you get to increase the sale prices of things you sell. It's very much like Balatro or Clover Pit or any of those gambly roguelites or just roguelites in general. Phantom Hourglass? No, I don't even recognize that. Granted, I've been mostly a PC gamer my entire life, so I'm far less familiar with console games. It's like this can generate momentum, this consumes momentum. Now there's a easier upgrade that gets you momentum. There's literally an upgrade called momentum. As long as your ship's moving, you gain momentum. So those are paired well together. So it's all about finding synergies. So you want to find like 2 or more of these big upgrades that look like they could work well together, and then they will provide you some explosive benefit. Like if you can get your ship to 100% momentum, that's a 200% sale price increase. Oh, really? I'll have to take a look at that. But you're controlling a single ship, right? Not finding many fishing upgrades here. But, so there's these nodes that become visible early. Key Insight will reveal 3 keystones, the big upgrades, and then Insight will just expand your vision into the tree. So and they're sprinkled all over the place. So generally you can find what you're looking for pretty fast, if you know what you're looking for. Yeah, so Fleet Tycoon is all about controlling a fleet of ships. Haha, Fleet Tycoon. Going to turn to a fishing ship. So I'm going to find a place that accepts fish. This dock accepts fish. So I'm going to go queue up some places to go fish, go back to the dock, and loot. Surprisingly, the lines don't show up through the fog of war. That's weird. Actually I'm going to go over here and use Insight to find more fishing nodes, because I have, oh, well, there's a bunch of fishing nodes right there. How convenient. Also, can you do these 2-handed brands, which those are related upgrades. All right. This is the skipper tree. Whatever upgrades I select here apply to the ship that's currently selected. Now I only have one ship, so it's always going to impact that one ship. But what I'm looking for here is there are upgrades that expand your fleet. I'll do it myself. 100% work. Ah, there. So Commodore Apprentice will add a ship to my fleet. This is going to probably become an exploration ship. Oh, it's the Mayflower. It's just randomly generated name. So for this guy, I'm going to want to look for exploration. So the specialty nodes essentially get you a nice jump start into making your ship do that thing. So like you saw my first ship, I selected this, which made it a decent fisherman right off the bat. There is a not a hauling one, there is an exploration one somewhere. This is for hauling, so that's just moving things around. Oh, interesting. So it says it's only removing hauling specialists. It's as if it doesn't know that exploring specialists exists. Did I forget to add / update / fix? So the other day, I separated cartography, which is making maps, and this exploration as like separate branches of that you can specialize your ship towards. And I think I may have accidentally nuked the specialization upgrade for that. This is all the upgrades in the game, by the way. There's a lot of them. Yeah, no, there's exploring specialists. Very weird. It's as if the ship just didn't spawn with it. But it's mandatory. So this count is saying how many have to exist on the tree. And so it says there has to be one exploring specialist. And I think I made this smart enough to only show that it would remove something that exists on the tree. So ironically, this ship, for whatever buggy reason, is missing its cartography or exploration specialty. I'll have to investigate that. Also, this is blend here. I need to make lunch. Then I don't know what Hanu and I are going to do this afternoon, so I think I'm going to have to call it quits here, unfortunately. Thanks for joining the stream. If I am working this afternoon, which I hope I will be, just I don't know when, I will probably boot up the stream again. Thanks, Westland, for hanging out with me. Sorry that I'm kind of ending abruptly. I did forewarn. Wish list the game you haven't, and I'll see y'all later. Glad to chat with ya. Hope to chat with you again